The controversy around the rise of independent candidates in the Tlokwe Local Municipality started with the ousting of the then ANC Mayor Maphehle more than 10 years ago. He was replaced by the Democratic Alliance Councillor Annette Combring. At the time, the DA did not hold a majority in the council. It had received 37% of the votes in the 2011 local government elections against the ANC's 58%. In February 2013, Maphehle was returned as the mayor of the municipality after defeating Combring. 5 months later, Maphehle was unseated for the second time and Combring was voted in as the new mayor. Those who voted out Maphehle, including some ANC councillors, accused him of fraud and corruption. As a result, the Northwest ANC expelled 14 of its councillors who voted to unseat Maphehle. The governing party said it found them guilty of acting contrary to the directives and violating its constitution. Johannes Johnson and David Kam were among the expelled councillors. They decided to contest the by-elections as independent candidates.
It happened that we were expelled by the ANC, and then due to the love and also the issue to see that our people get services, we then went on and said, you know what, let's rather go and contest elections so that we must come and represent the community and so on. Part of those which their stay ended in 2013 as councillors, and which resulted into many struggles that we had to carry, that even led to us contesting as independent councillors, leading into by-elections, the rigorous process which also was mired by a lot of discrepancies, which gave birth to a lot of court challenges, back and forth, as a collective which we waged, which ultimately gave birth to a now part of what in law they call stare decisis, a point of reference in law about how the elections and the administration of elections should be conducted.
Their expulsion led to the highly contested 2013 by-elections in several wards which were marred by controversy and court challenges. A week before the by-elections, the IEC took a decision to disqualify 6 independent candidates from contesting, saying they did not meet the required threshold for nominations. But the Electoral Court reversed the IEC's decision and the independent candidates were allowed to contest. One of the disqualified candidates was Johnson, who was contesting in Ward 13.
What actually happened or transpired during that period? We were, as independents, we were called by the IEC and we went on to follow all the due processes as per their rules and regulations. And then during that period, we were supposed to get people nominating you, giving you their addresses and so on. And then during that period, it happened that IEC, then some of their officials went out and then did something wrong by not allowing us as independents to continue to register and contest the elections.
Before the by-elections, the candidates had lodged objections with the IEC over voter registrations in their respective wards. In the December 2013 by-elections, some applicants complained of delays in receiving segments of the National Voters Roll to be used for the by-elections. These segments also did not include the residential addresses for voters.
During that period, people did not have addresses. The voters roll was not certified to have addresses. It was just your name, and you can vote wherever you come or you want to vote. And we showed the IEC that mistake from the beginning, and then they just disregarded and continued with their voters roll without their addresses within it and so on. We then submitted some objections and everything, and then it went on. The IEC just released and said, no, everything must go on. It must be as they have certified it and so on, without addresses.
3 months earlier, other by-elections were held in wards 8 and 26. The expelled ANC councillors contested as independent candidates. One of them was Butiki Stone Matlabe. Matlabe won the ward that was previously held by the ANC. He notched 1,425 votes compared to the 900 that the ANC's candidate Opa Mokhoshane had received.
Bana ba nkutlwisisa go feta lefoko la kutlwisiso ene ibile bane ba khona le go bolella bane ba le mo pusong ka nako e gore re tlo le bontsha gore ha re kitla re le votela re tlo votela motho o ka gobane ha isa le go tlogeng go ne re thomate motho a ntse a re lwanela go tlo fitlhella for re leng teng fana ibile ona sa re shebe mo matlhong ona re thusa a sena le moya wa boikgantso ona itse gore se a se buang wa se diragatsa.
Back to the December by-elections, the candidates approached the electoral court for an order to postpone the by-elections, but the court was unable to convene to hear the application. The by-elections went ahead and 6 of the candidates lost. Following the by-elections, the IEC conducted its own investigation into the allegation that voters not entitled to register in these wards had been registered and that their participation affected the by-election results.
We realized that people were bussed from different areas into this area to register, and we picked that up during the registration process as it was happening at the IEC. Different state facilities were used to host lodged people, and we followed up on that to a point where we could corroborate facts. And then resolved on approaching the legal people, your lawyers, to start the process of litigating against the IEC and the total process of elections. We then went and took the thing to electoral court, whereby we wanted to contest and show the country, entire country, that what does the law says. It is by law that one has to have ID address, so that it must be placed on a voter's roll for you to can go and elect.
The IEC found that there were a number of such registrations and some of the unentitled voters had voted, but it concluded that their numbers were not sufficient to affect the results of the by-elections. When the electoral court eventually heard the matter, the candidates argued that the results of the by-election be set aside as the IEC's own investigation had found them not free and fair. The IEC opposed this. The electoral court rejected the IEC's argument and dismissed their application. Then the candidates took the matter to the Constitutional Court. They were represented by Hans-Yuri Mulman. Mulman was also a DA councillor in Tlokwe at the time.
We were awarded 5 judges to hear the matter in the electoral court, and then came the outcome after the matter was argued, and then 4 judges out of the 5 ruled against us and 1 judge in favour of our case. And that is where you know, it took quite a lot of courage from our clients and from our side to say, well, we've lost this, must we take it further? And we were fortunate to get support from other legal practitioners to take the matter further on appeal directly to the Constitutional Court.
The then official opposition at the municipality, the DA, supported the candidates.
After the by-elections, which was actually a disaster for the ANC, that led to a Constitutional Court case in which one of our councillors, H.A. Moorman, played a prominent role. And that led to a crisis for the IEC, where the Constitutional Court judgment then required the IEC to record the physical address of every single voter in this country.
The evidence that we presented, we eventually got, in terms of our prior application, we got the registrations of each and every ward during those by-elections, of every person that registered. And when you look at that REC form that they completed at the time, you had people, one address used for many people, or people without any address that you can't verify. And we actually had that evidence at our disposal, and we could use it, and we had a very thick document that we presented to the court as evidence.
The matter was heard at the Constitutional Court in September 2015. 2 months later, the court made a landmark ruling declaring that the by-elections conducted in Tlokwe Local Municipality had not been free or fair. The reason for the decision was that the voters' roll was deficient and lacked the addresses of some voters.
It is declared that the by-elections conducted in the Tlokwe Municipality on 12 September 2013 in Ward 18 and on 10 December in Wards 1, 4, 11, 12, 13 and 20 were not free and fair. B. The outcome of those by-elections is set aside. Fresh by-elections must be held in terms of Section 25 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act 117 of 1998 within 90 days of the order of this court. C. It is declared that when registering a voter to vote in a particular voting district after the date of this order, the Electoral Commission is obliged to furnish sufficient particularity of the voter's address to enable it to ensure that the voter is at the time of registration ordinarily resident in that voting district.
Those who took the matter to court are proud of the step that they took back then.
A victory was recorded, and it is recorded, across the landscape, the breadth and the length. The important thing which we would forever not shy away from emphasizing is our contribution to the legal body of knowledge, because for us to have persuaded, for us to have courageously stood up against, if you like, powers that be, it meant a lot. And that contribution for us does not go uncelebrated.
The highest court in the land have shown people that what is democracy.
Our focus was a failure in the system, and a system that is supposed to rule out that prospect. So never was a finding made against the political party, but the IEC were found to be at fault. And declaratory orders were said that they failed in their duty. And in fact, it was the first time that a ruling was made against the IEC that they failed not only in terms of their statutory duty, but also a constitutional duty to ensure free and fair elections. I think if you think about the sacrifices that have been made in our country for people for the right to vote.
The IEC approached the Constitutional Court in 2016 in an attempt to get clarity on what they believed were the far-reaching implications of this judgment. The Constitutional Court reached its verdict and confirmed that the National Common Voters Roll, lacking the addresses of certain voters, was invalid and inconsistent with the rule of law. But what does this all mean for constitutional democracy?
Ultimately, we assisted the electoral landscape of the country to take a proper and a all-welcoming tune, as it is the case today, that they have to produce a credible voters roll which can be vouched for by all participants, and that can be scrutinized with specific references if there could be any issue. And for us, we are forever delighted, and we still remain committed to see how people will benefit from that democratic gain.
In democracy, all laws that regulates or guides you, you must follow it so that you know what is right and what is wrong.
It was a lengthy case, but at the end we won. Or I could rather say the country won.
The IEC says to date, more than 70% of the South African voters have complete addresses on the voters' roll. The Tlokwe matter will go down in history as one of those that has helped shape South Africa's electoral democracy. Thabiso, SABC News, Potchefstroom.